All right, Liz, the most interesting story of the day?
The 14-year-old inventor came up with a vending machine for first aid things for stadiums or recreation clubs. Turned down $30 million for it.
That's right, he did.
Yeah.
He's 14 years old. He invented this vending machine for first aid stuff. He's offered $30 million and he turns it down.
Turns it down, that's
There's a story for you. Beat that, Neil Cavuto. It's yours.
What a dope.
He's 14. You can't say that about a 14-year-old.
But he turned it down? I mean, could mom and dad have maybe cobbled together a contract, a deal to make this work out?
He said he would sell for 50, okay?
Oh, I see. By the way, your candy bar, the healthy guy, whatever, he stops me in the hall as I'm getting made up, and he threw one at me, you need this. And I was really offended.
He'll never be on this program again, Neil.
Yeah, he's dead meat to me. So I said, where are you going, Barney? He said, he likes you, I guess. But
it's cannoli for you, son, and that's it.
Yeah, well, I wish that were the case. All right, thank you very much, Stuart. Take a look at what's happening at the corner of Wall and Broad and Beat yourself, everyone. And there's not enough food or tonic to get you through it. And if you really want to blame anyone, you can blame Disney, out with disappointing earnings yesterday. Now, the killer was that its theme park business was pretty secure, even in the face of those higher ticket prices and the likes. But it was the cable business and slowing down in that business that really scared some investors who are starting to think that all is not so marvelous in the Mouse House. So we're keeping an eye on that and whether what we've been hearing out of media stocks prior to this is the exception or the rule. We don't know. In the meantime, we know that there's a big meeting tomorrow on Capitol Hill that will feature Donald Trump, also Speaker Paul Ryan, and a lot of the big mighty, I guess, muckety-mucks is what we can call them in the Republican Party. Paul Ryan really wasn't letting on what they'll be chatting about tomorrow, what they want to hear out of that, but he did kind of set the stage. Paul Ryan a little earlier.
What we're trying to do is be as constructive as possible to have a real unification. Look, I said this the other day. To pretend we're unified as a party after coming through a very bruising primary, which just ended like a week ago, to pretend we're unified without actually unifying, then we go into the fall at half strength. This election is too important to go into an election at half strength. That means we need a real unification of our party.
All right, so what happens there? Let's talk to Ted Cruz campaign spokesperson Ron Nearing. Ron, always good to have you. Yesterday, Ted Cruz made it as clear as he could that for the time being at least, his campaign remains suspended, although he did hold out, I guess, the possibility he could unsuspend it. How likely is that?
Oh, I don't think that's not very likely at all. I think he was speaking more of an academic sense. Look, today Senator Cruz said that he would run for re-election to the United States Senate in 2018. That's what I expect will happen. Now the burden on the presidential side is for Donald Trump to unify the Republican Party. That's where the burden lies on the Republican nominee for president to take those actions, not just words, but take actions to unify the Republican Party. So, as Speaker Ryan said, I think accurately, that you can go into the general election at full strength. We're not there right now. And there's a lot of work that has to be done in order to get there.
Ron, do you think that even with his comments when he arrived back at the Senate, that he still sounded a little bit chafed, a little angry at Donald Trump? Barely mentioned him. Certainly didn't sound supportive of him. So that there's some ill will there.
Well, obviously this was a very hotly contested, presidential contest, one where Donald Trump, as we all know and saw very, very publicly, turned this into a very, very personal, type of campaign, which, is unprecedented in modern times. So, that's understandable. But I spoke with Senator Cruz, directly, and he's very much looking forward to continuing to advocate for those issues and solutions in the United States Senate as he did, on the campaign trail. Now on the presidential side. Again, there's a lot of work that has to be done, and that really requires proactive action on the part of Donald Trump as the Republican nominee. It doesn't just happen by talking about unity. It certainly doesn't happen by saying unity isn't important. It really is important. And you can ask all of the down-ticket Republican candidates for the Senate, the United States Congress, state houses, and local offices whose futures are going to be tied to the performance of Donald Trump as the Republican nominee for president. There's a lot of work that has to be done.
But now all of a sudden things might have changed with some of these battleground state polls that show Donald Trump is actually very competitive and tying or beating Hillary Clinton in 3 key states, all won by Barack Obama 4 years ago. So maybe they're getting all rattled too early.
Well, I think that what Donald Trump has to do right now, and certainly my phone hasn't been ringing asking for advice, but if I were to offer it, I think two things have to happen. Number one, he really has to tighten up his operation. Running for president is not simply about yourself, but you have to be able to demonstrate that you have the capability of running the White House, of running the executive branch of the most powerful government on earth. And this week, it came out that Donald Trump had someone on his California delegate slate who certainly should not be on that delegate slate. That goes to show that there's some tightening up on the campaign side that has to happen in order to inspire confidence of those people who he'll ultimately need to unify behind him in the campaign. And then secondly, he has to reach out proactively and with a degree of humility to the other Republicans, because this is not just about himself, it's about a big, broad-based Republican Party, in order to get them on board and proactively take those steps. And if that doesn't happen, we will not be in a strong position come to the convention. We will not be in a strong position come the general election.
Real quickly, Ron, do you think, if he was taking your counsel, now I'm sure he would, Ted Cruz, that he should entertain, if asked, being Donald Trump's running mate?
I think that's a stretch. You asked me about this before. It was a stretch then. I think it's very much a stretch now.
I was hoping you'd forget.
No. But Senator Cruz stated today he's going to run for re-election to the U.S. Senate. There's a lot of work to be done.
Do you even think he's on that list?
Senate.
Do you think he's on that short list?
I can't speculate. I think that would be a stretch.
All right, Ron, always a pleasure.
My pleasure, Neil. Thank you.
All right, well, now into the woman who was a steadfast supporter of Donald Trump, even said that she would entertain the running mate job if it were offered to her, the former Arizona governor, Jan Brewer. Governor, good to have you. Governor, are you there?
I am.
Oh, good.
Hello.
I'm sorry. I thought we had lost you. Governor, you had mentioned that you'd be open to running with Donald Trump. I don't know this supposedly short list he has, comprised of 5 or 6 names. I do know his campaign has apparently said Chris Christie is on that list. Do you think you should be?
Well, I said that I would want to serve Mr. Trump in any capacity where I could be of help. And I have no idea who is on that list. I do know, Neil, that he's got a lot of people to choose from, well-qualified people that he's known for a long time, people that have served this country as governors and as congressional members. Whatever he decides, but he certainly needs somebody to serve with him that will be able to help him carry forward with his programs and lead him in certain directions, I think, because a lot of those people, as politicians, they've stepped in it before and they know where the minefields are.
But let me ask we'll know, and we'll know soon enough, I guess, who's on the list, whether you're on it or should be on it. Many people say you should. He needs a woman, someone very popular in her own right. Having said that, what do you make of those who have already pre-taken themselves out of it? Maybe because they've probably safely assumed Donald Trump took them out of it. But I'm talking about Marco Rubio, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, others who said, no, not interested. What do you make of that?
Well, a lot of times people say they don't want to be vice president because they don't think they're going to be the vice president.
Right.
They don't want to be thrown in there and be looked at as a loser. I would hope that if they were asked, that they would come and answer the call to serve their country in that capacity. We as Republicans, our goal, I believe, is that we don't want 4 more years of the Obama administration. And that's what's going to happen with Mrs. Clinton. We need to unify, come together, and support. We know what our platform is. We all agree. We might not agree 100% on everything that everybody says, but we can agree that we are far more aligned with Republicans than we are with the Democrats. And I believe that Mr. Trump will beat Hillary. I think that the polls are showing that he's getting very, very competitive, and overwhelmingly the people have voted for him.
Governor, we'll watch very closely. It's always great having you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil.